Hello, I am Bentham, and today we're playing Factorio. Now, in the previous episode, we were focusing on solar power and various electrical things. And in this episode, last episode, I said that we will be working on green science packs. That was, of course, a load of rubbish because we already have green science packs set up. What I meant was blue, and we won't be doing much of that anyway. So, first of all, what we did was we did a little bit more upgrading more of our furnaces to electric furnaces. So we did this copper supply here, we expanded things out a bit, and now the production is electrical. And also we're producing a lot of effectivity modules now using the newly installed assembler that I have there. And so throughout the episode I'll be taking out the modules and putting them into various machines and generally reducing our power usage. A bit of research has come through there. At the moment there's not that much to do, because what we really need to do is get the blue science packs going so that we can get on with the more complicated research. In particular, I want to do the advanced oil processing, because at the moment we have ridiculous amounts of heavy and light oil and not much petroleum gas. So anyway, I decided that I'm going to slightly reinforce this section of the wall after it's proved to be a biter magnet. Essentially, they're just charging in all the time and it's getting quite bad. I'm having to do a lot of repair work on the wall, so I've doubled the thickness and added some more turrets. And then we've just had our first attack on the new wall I've installed next to the solar field, so I decided that, seeing as it looks like it's going to be dealing with some aliens, I should upgrade it a bit. And also we have an attack in the south base, but that's just to be expected. That's what happens normally nowadays. And I get some more modules and fit them to whatever is nearest, just running around and chucking them on everything to reduce the power usage everywhere. And then we do another upgrade over here of this furnace, and I think by the end of the episode there is possibly no more steel furnaces. I believe I called them aluminium furnaces in the previous episode. I'm pretty sure they're steel furnaces because there is no aluminium in this game, so I don't know what I was thinking about with there. So, and now we go over to this one and we start upgrading these. Well, the problem was I spotted that the copper supply had gone terrible, and so I went to investigate, realised we were out of coal. So what I then did was went over and installed some electric furnaces, but I also increased the furnace capacity from 3 to 4, and then once I have the furnaces set up, I go and set up an extra mining drill to make up for the consumption of ore, and to keep the copper flow enough for everything to stay supplied. So once again we grab some modules and put them into everything, and really what I should be doing is putting them in the mining drills more, because the mining drills do use up a lot more power than a lot of other things, and also the mining drills are generally running constantly. Well, anyway, I add a couple more storage tanks to the oil system, because we do have a lot of heavy and light oil that's filling up everywhere. And at the moment I don't have any use for it. I don't want to turn it into solid fuel because we've got enough coal as it is. There's a huge coal vein just at the top of the production area that I really need to be getting rid of. That's the problem. It's actually in the way, because when I'm trying to construct things there, whenever I want to deconstruct something, I'll end up mining a bit of coal and stuff like that, and it'll be annoying. So once again with the effectivity modules, filling up the labs and all the nearby assemblers. Though at the moment there's a lot of level 1 assemblers, and you can't actually fit modules to those because of how basic they are. Anyway, after having a look at the power supply, I decided to add a couple more solar panels. And what this should mean is that the steam engines no longer need to run during the day, because previously the power usage was pretty much was averaging the capacity of the solar panels, which meant that occasionally they weren't quite running fully, and then other times the steam engines had to switch on a bit to make up for losses. So anyway, about this coal field, I decided I just want to get rid of it, so I set up miners really densely packed to try and get rid of it as quickly as possible and pipe it over to a steel chest to store all the coal in. And with any luck that will not take too long to get rid of because of how tightly packed all the miners are, but it's still going to take a bit, and I'm going to have to deal with either changing my mind and building over the top of the coal, or waiting for ages for the coal to actually get done. So anyway, looking at this production of circuits, I've decided that it's not going to work because there's no room for expansion, and if it extends any more, then it'll get in the way of loads of other stuff, like there's sulfur and plastic and things going along. So I started setting up a new system, and this one's going to have a lot more space. There's going to be a lot of room for expansion, a lot of empty areas, so that when the time comes to expand production, I'm actually capable of it. So what we're doing at the moment is we're having 3 assemblers producing copper wire, and then we'll have 2 of them using the 2 assemblers using the copper wire to make circuits, and then they will go on to 2 assemblers that are making advanced circuits using all the various equipment. We'll also pipe the plastic over there from its current location, and once it's all set up, we will then deconstruct the old system, which is too tightly packed and has no room to grow. I was using that mining drill as a measuring device because I've decided what I want there to be space for in future, so I'm making sure to leave that much of a gap. And then because of all the empty space around, it's possible that I could still, even when I've filled up the system, I could set up another system alongside it to increase its capacity even more. So I get a bunch more of the effectivity modules, and this time I actually use them on the mining drills where they're going to be most useful. And the good thing about mining drills is they have room for 3 modules, which means that if you can put in 3 basic effectivity modules, and it will reduce the power usage to 1/5 of normal. What each one does is reduce the power usage by 30, but there's a limit of 1/5 of normal production, because if you could just keep adding them, then you can get it to a point where they use no energy, and of course that's a bit ridiculous. So if you put 3 in, it's technically 90, but only 80 is registered. So anyway, I carry on working on these. I got a little bit confused at one point and did a bit wrong and then changed it, which is why I didn't hook the system up immediately. It's a good idea, if there's no urgent need, to set up a system not connected up to the grid and not connected up to the supplies. If you know what you're doing, then you should be able to set it up so that it'll work without actually having to mess about with the actual object until you've got the system set up. So once you've got everything in place, you connect it up to the system, and then everything flows in, and hopefully it all works fine. When you're first learning how to put these systems together, you may want to hook them up straight away just so that you can see it, because there will be problems. You'll make mistakes, and things will be on the wrong side of the belts and things like that, and there'll be inserters that are backwards. All this stuff is to be expected, so you might want to just do it a different way. But I've already set this type of system up like twice before in other worlds and done a lot of work on them, so I already know what sort of system I want to get. Now, I've noticed that there is a complete lack of plastic, because at the moment we could set up another oil refinery, but the thing is, we've got huge surpluses of heavy and light oil already, and I'm going to have to keep building more storage tanks to hold them, and I don't really want to do that. What I want to do is get the blue science packs going so that I can do the necessary science to be able to crack the heavier oils into the petroleum gas, which is what I'm interested in right now, and it's what I'll be interested in for the rest of the game, really, because you don't use the other oil types for much else. So I've now hooked up that system and everything's running fine. I run over and grab some gears, because it turns out that we do need the conveyor belts for the wires to be a little bit faster than they currently are, so I upgrade them to the second kind of conveyor belt. And I also noticed that the iron supply is a little low, so what I do is there's a bit of science happens, and then I hook up another 2 electric furnaces so that the production increases. However, what this means is that the iron mines can't quite keep up with consumption. So at the moment there's a big backlog of iron going all the way back to the outposts, but now that we've got the 2 extra electric furnaces going, it will eventually use up the backlog, and then those furnaces will not be used that much. So anyway, I'm deconstructing all of this equipment here because it's no longer needed. I've diverted all of the supplies elsewhere, and then now we've got the effectivity module machine working in the other base, so there was no longer any need for that cramped mess. Well, not really a mess, it worked fine, it's just that there was no room to grow. And one of the most important things about playing Factorio is to make sure to plan ahead, because if you compress everything into a tiny space, which is what I do sometimes, it can cause all sorts of problems later. There are certain, like on the main world that I play on, there is a problem with the production line where I can't quite get the production of a certain item high enough, and I've had to employ logistics robots to fly them from one location to another to keep the supply going. And there's been all sorts of problems with it, and basically because I didn't plan ahead well enough, it's limited my productive capabilities. And what I'm going to hopefully do this time around is make more plans for that, or at least just like make room to increase the production to what I expect I will need in future. So anyway, I decided to add another mining drill onto this copper base here. What I've also been doing, as you may have noticed, is I've been running along all of the defensive walls, because while I was constructing the upgraded system, I was completely ignoring the various alien attacks that were going on. And loads of ammo's built up, so I'm now running around, checking everything's working, fixing walls, and then resupplying all of the turrets, because I've now got quite a bit of ammo spare, though I do end up using it all up. So I run back to base and grab a little bit more, and then check the final wall. Now this one I don't think has actually had any attacks on it at all yet. It's there as a precaution really, because I don't want there to be any big gaps that anything can get through in my base. Eventually I'll probably expand the walls a bit more and make more room, because for example there's a big coal deposit there that I might want to use down at the wall I was just at. Anyway, I realised I missed out the chest at the end of this production line, so I now start unloading the effectivity modules. But I realised that over here the steel chest is actually full already, and there's still a lot more coal to mine. So I set up another 6 of them, and then start sending them all over there and get them all into the chests, and hopefully that will last a lot longer, and we'll hopefully be able to take all of the coal that we'll be mining. That's the problem. There is a lot of coal in the ground that we have to move if we want to. And I realised that in the meantime I'm going to have to carry on with production anyway. I'm going to have to find a way around this, either go under it or around it. And so I start working out how to set up the conveyor belt so that I can do that. And it's a little bit fiddly because we really don't have very much room to move at all. In fact, I kind of procrastinate a bit by running around fitting effectivity modules for everything, and then I decide to upgrade the entire production line to level 2 assemblers, and then wander around a bit, not really knowing what to do and moving bits around because I just don't want to tackle this problem. And in the end I realise that I'm going to have to do something about it, so I start messing about with the conveyor belts, trying to work out how I can get the belts to go around. And eventually I work out that I can use the previous offshoot system to separate them, and then get one thing to go under another thing, and that will allow me to actually get them through. It looks a bit fiddly and it's not the most efficient thing in the world, but it works, and that's the important thing right now. This may well be a temporary system, and I think at the very least, once I've got the coal moved, I will change the arrangement so that it doesn't look so silly. And also the system will still work as it is. I can still make it continue, but it would still be better if I could change how it works. You'll also notice that I have one of the coal mines is actually not got power at the moment, because I moved one of the power lines to fit the conveyor belts through. I don't actually realise this. I only noticed it when looking back at the recording, so I'm going to have to go in and deal with that in the next episode. Otherwise it'll drive everyone insane, I'm sure. But anyway, what I'm setting up here is production of yet more of the advanced circuitry. Because what we want these to be used for is science packs. Now I would have one, but I know from previous games that one is not quite enough to produce what I need towards the end of the game. So I'm putting in 2 just to make sure I have enough room. I think I'll only need one assembler producing copper wire, and hopefully that is the case, otherwise I've messed up quite badly there. So anyway, I run off, and what do I do now? I don't know. Excuse me. My voice broke apparently. So I start to try working out how to siphon off plastic, because I need to get it over to the circuits. And the problem is that I've got a lot of stuff to get through. Basically, it's got to go through my entire production system. It's got to find a gap in everything to actually sneak through, and that's what I spend the end of the episode doing. At this point, I'm not going to be able to. I don't have enough time to finish off piping in the plastic, but that can be something for the next episode, and then I can finish sorting out the advanced circuitry production, and then I can produce some smart inserters and then use those along with a couple of other bits of material to make the blue science packs, and then finally we can get on with improving our oil production and so on. But at the moment I've completely messed up this system, and I'm trying to work out how to get it through, and I find a way, but I'm gonna have to backtrack a bit. But you'll see me finishing this off in the next episode. So Until then, I shall say goodbye. Thank you for watching, and I shall see you next time.